please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Now back home on the Lal Street, the markets began the expiry week on a strong note. The indices gained close to around 1% in trade yesterday. The Nifty reclaimed the 10,700 mark odd on an intraday basis after 7 sessions, while the Sensex surged 240 points odd. The banks, they outperformed, financials contributing nearly around 37 points to Nifty's gains, while the mid-caps as well reclaimed the 19,000 odd mark. This morning, well, the initial rates that we're getting from the SGX Nifty are suggesting a bit of a downtick, but Mangalam's with us early this morning to run us through his assessment and his analysis of all the cues that are stacked up. Hey Mangalam, morning.
Morning, Nigel. So absolutely, you spoke about the good start to the expiry week. Remember, it was a great end to the penultimate week of this series as well. So in the last 3 sessions, the Nifty and the Sensex, both of them have gained 2.5%. Nifty in the last 3 sessions has gained about 260 points, which is the maximum that that index has gained in 3 days over the last 6 months. The Nifty Bank, yes, outperformed the mid-caps to added about 3%. And in doing so, yesterday, the Nifty actually crossed all its important moving averages, the 20-day moving average, the 100-day moving average, as well as the 50-day moving average over the last 1 week, which the Nifty had tested. So we'll have to keep an eye out on whether there is more up move or not. So yesterday's up move, that was primarily on account of 3 factors. The first one, of course, crude going down was positive for us. The rupee appreciating was beneficial as well. And we saw the bond yields, they came off as well. So by the decline in crude, we saw the moves come by in oil marketing companies. We saw the moves come by in all the aviation stocks. So the likes of SpiceJet actually were locked in upper circuit. The strength in rupee did not bode too well for all the IT stocks, which actually underperformed in trade. Tech Mahindra was the biggest loser with a cut of almost 4%. But decline in bond yields, that did very well for all the non-banking finance companies. So the likes of Indiabulls Housing Finance, Canfin Homes, as well as M&M Finance, all of them gained. Now the markets entered this expiry week with a lot of purchase by the FIIs. So the FIIs have bought 1,000 crores in index futures in the past 2 sessions. But remember, they're still net short. So there could be more for in terms of short covering. We'll keep an eye out on that. Over the last 3 days, we have seen some short covering by the FIs and index calls, and they've written a couple of they've written puts for the last couple of days. We have the maximum open interest at 10,800, so that is one mark we will keep an eye out on. And apart from that, we have important cues to work with in today's trading session in particular. Remember, no cues came by from the Wall Street. L&T results beat street estimates, as well as Asia, that has opened on a weak note. So as you rightly pointed out, the SGX Nifty indicating a mild red tick at the open. Let's see whether that will be used to buy or sell more.
Okay, Mangalam, you talked about the IT stocks and Larsen and Toubro. What are the other stocks that will be in focus and trade today?
Well, Anisha, it's an important day for you today because L&T will be reacting to its numbers, and then you have BHEL as well reporting their numbers, M&M reporting their numbers, BPCL from the oil marketing space, as well as Dish TV will be reporting their numbers. Aurobindo Pharma, the results were below estimates, and if you take a look at their US performance, Ekta tells us that was poor, along with the ARV business that dragged the numbers lower. Bank of India reported the highest quarterly net loss ever. That's been something which we've seen across all the PSU banks. REC, their gross NPA has been at a 12-quarter high, so poor numbers coming in there as well. We have NMDC. Nigel tells us the revenues have grown 35%, the EBITDA, which has grown by about 100%, and margins also came in higher. It will be important to see what the stock does in today's trading session. Union Bank, again, a PSU bank, for the last 4 quarters, we've seen losses continue, as you see on that trend. So that is net loss rather than the gain. Vadilal, looks like a lot of people ate ice creams this time because the revenues, that one grew about 26%, and the company posted an EBITDA gain as against a loss. Not just ice creams, looks like a lot of people ate shrimp feed as well because the revenues for Apex Frozen moved higher by 24% and EBITDA grew by 95%. Shri Pushkar Chemicals, the margins were weak despite a 35% growth in the revenue. Minda Corp, revenues were up 40%. The EBITDA grew by almost 100 times, 109% there if you must. Hathway Cables, strong set of numbers. Actually, it was strong on the operational performance. The revenues were down 57% and the EBITDA loss was, or the EBITDA decline was contained to only 20%. Munjal Auto, good set of numbers there too. And looks like a lot of people traveled too because Cox & Kings, 36% growth on the revenue, 75% growth on the EBITDA. We need to know how much of that came by on account of Forex because the finance cost has gone up. So that is something we'll watch out for.
So which category were you in? Were you in
the ice cream category?
So were you traveling, or you can't have the shrimp?
I can't have the shrimp feed, so it was ice cream.
Actually, there are a few more numbers that I'm looking out for. I'm wondering whether I can relate it to you. But for the time being, we'll keep it at that.
I would want to know which numbers are those.
No, Anisha, you wouldn't want to know that. Anyway, thanks so much, Mangalam, for joining in, giving us those details.
Well, the Tamil Nadu government has shut down Sterlite Copper's smelting plant in Tuticorin for good. The order from the E. Palaniswamy-led AIADMK government comes days after violence singed the coastal town of Tuticorin. Jude Sennett joins us on the phone line with all the latest developments. Jude, good morning. Over to you.
Good morning. So, as you rightly mentioned, the Tamil Nadu government has come down heavily on Sterlite Copper after nearly a week of violence, which claimed 13 lives. As part of a communication yesterday, the Chief Minister of the state, E.K. Palaniswamy, has stated that based on compassionate grounds and keeping with the wishes and the welfare of the people of Tuticorin, the Tamil Nadu government will take steps to ensure the permanent closure of Sterlite Copper. So, how did the government do this? It basically piggybacked on a Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board observation that the plant was bereft with violations and would not be allowed to renew its consent to operate certificate. So the Tamil Nadu government pretty much piggybacked on a Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board observation and said that given the fact that its TNPCB permit wasn't reviewed, it would not be allowed to function and would thus be permanently shut. Of course, in a statement, Vedanta called the decision unfortunate and said it was considering the options that lay before it ahead. Remember, the legal route is still available to Vedanta should it decide to pursue the same. But for now, the plant will remain shut for the moment. Back to you.
All right, Joe, thanks so much for that. Well, just to give our viewers a couple of numbers, what was the contribution coming in from the copper plant in FY18? It was around 5% of the total EBITDA. So, just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that this plant was shut for the last couple of months. The stock price of Vedanta should come up for you on the screen. In this month itself, Anisha, the stock is down nearly around 15%. Okay. So this uncertainty has been playing out as it is the plant was shut. The fresh development is that in fact they have ordered the total shutdown of this. Now we'll have to see what happens from here. But as I said, the stock has already reacted a considerable amount of that. And I'm looking at a couple of scenarios that Morgan Stanley has put up as well just a few days back. They're assuming that if the plant is shut down for the entire of FY19 and if it restarts in FY20, then they have a target price of around 371 rupees on a per share basis. And if they're giving zero value to the plant, the copper plant, just factoring that it shuts down completely, still Morgan Stanley says that their target price comes down from 371 to 348 rupees on a per share basis. So we'll keep an eye out on that front as well. But Vedanta has reacted to the government's order. In its statement, the company has said, and I quote, "The closure of the Sterlite copper plant is an unfortunate development, especially since we have operated the plant for over 22 years in the most transparent and sustainable way, contributing to the Tuticorin and the state's socio-economic development. We will study the order and decide on the future course of action." End of quote.
Okay, moving on then to a CNBC TV18 exclusive now. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs has taken cognizance of Manpasan Beverages auditors Deloitte's communication. Now remember, the auditor resigned alleging that the maker of juices did not share significant information sought for auditing its financial statements. Timsi Jaipuria, who has been tracking the story, is here with the details. Timsi, over to you.
Well, what I pick up from sources is the fact that MCA has taken cognizance of the Deloitte's letter on Manpasan Beverages Limited. Deloitte has put a red flag on the alleged details that Manpasan Beverages did not share with Deloitte. Deloitte has also red flagged the concerns regarding financial errors during the audit that it had caught hold of, post which it got back to the company seeking further details, and the company refused to share them. What we also understand that MCA is planning action against Manpasand Beverages Limited under Section 143(12) of the Companies Act. MCA will also soon rope in SEBI for detailed investigation and probe into the books of accounts of Manpasand Beverages. Also, let me bring in a fact that MCA invoking this particular section will be a first time in the recent past. And remember, government has been pushing for quite some time for auditors to be equally responsible along with the companies when it comes to the cases of financial wrongdoings. Deloitte has resigned as of now as the statutory auditors of Manpasand, and leading to the company calling off their board meeting, which was scheduled on May 30th. So let's see what actually happens when MCA takes a detailed investigation on this particular matter. But yes, as of now, Section 143(12) of the Companies Act will be invoked, and SEBI too will be roped in to avoid such details. Back to you.
Well, to news coming in from the resolution space then, we learned from sources that Binani Cements, the Committee of Creditors or the COC, has voted in favour of Ultratech Cement's bid for the company. Ritu Singh joins us with all those details. Ritu.
This is a big breakthrough in the Binani Cement case, which has seen a tug-of-war between the two bidders, Dalmia Bharat and Ultratech, for a long time. And we understand from sources that the Committee of Creditors has now finally voted in favour of Ultratech Cement's bid for the company. We do understand that Ultratech's bid is over 1,000 crore rupees higher than what Dalmia Bharat had put on the table. We understand that Dalmia's bid was 6590 crore rupees, whereas Ultratech's bid, which has now been accepted by the Committee of Creditors, is 7,960 crore rupees. Of this, we understand that Ultratech is looking to pay 4,048 crore rupees to the secured financial creditors of the company, 2,428 crore rupees to the unsecured financial creditors, and 620 crore rupees to the operational creditors of Binani Cement, which itself is the big differentiator between the two bids that had been placed on the table. Now, of course, the Committee of Creditors will take this final resolution plan for approval to the NCLT. But do remember, everyone is expecting more litigation, especially from Dalmia Bharat, which has now lost out after being selected the highest bidder in the previous round. We do understand that, Dalmia Bharat's plea will now be heard in the Supreme Court on the 4th of June and in the NCLAT on the 10th of July, where it has challenged the eligibility of Ultratech Cement. But for now, the lender's decision is very clear. They have voted in favour of Ultratech Cement.
Thank you, Ritu, for that. But hang on and tell us about what happened with Ruchi Soya as well, because we understand from sources that Ruchi Soya's lenders are all set to select the highest bidder for the company in the next 5 days. Now, the Committee of Creditors will vote on offers from Patanjali as well as Adani Wilmar. Ritu, which company is likely to come out on the top?
The race to acquire Ruchi Soya now really boils down to two players, that is Patanjali Group and Adani Wilmar. We understand from sources that in the next 5 days itself, the Committee of Creditors will be declaring H1 or the winning bidder for the company. Now, where do the offers stand? We reported that Patanjali Group's offer was originally at 4,000 crore rupees, which has since been revised to 5,800 crore rupees. This includes 4,100 crore rupees in cash repayment to lenders and another 1,700 crores that the company has promised to infuse into Ruchi Soya. This compares with Adani Wilmar's offer of 3,285 crore rupees. Even though the bankers will declare H1 in another 5 days, they will negotiate with both of these players. As the bankers have decided, they will give both of these players a chance to renegotiate their bids to finally decide on who the company will eventually be sold to. Do remember, Ruchi Soya is on the second list of defaulters identified by RBI, and it has a debt of 12,000 crore rupees.
Okay, thanks so much, Ritu, for joining and giving us all those updates.